You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning, it's February the 10th, and welcome to Psychedelics and Campus Educational News. Good morning, Rev Cindy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Al?
I got a bit of a sore knee. Yeah, it really acted up over the weekend.
Oh,
I
no.
sort of felt like the knee was exploding. Yeah, I got small tissue inflammation going on, so I think I'm going to be placing a call later on today to have someone take another look at it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Ow.
yeah. That's what it's caused me to do. Ow.
Ow. What? I'm sure.
So if I start doing ow during the news, you know what's going on.
We know that you shifted your knee wrong.
It feels like my kneecap is exploding. So, all right. Hey, so what's new and exciting?
Whew. Oh, well, my grandson was here for the weekend, and yeah, that's been my life for the last 3 days.
There you go. Yeah, grandson's
And it's been storming here, so we've had a blast.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. There's more coming, believe me. There's more coming.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah, I think we're calling for about 15 centimeters on Wednesday. So,
Yeah.
all righty, time to get started with the news.
For sure.
All right, first story's out.
Coming to us from Mugglehead Magazine, Snowball cubenus, psilocybin strain turns heads, completely unique.
A particular looking new psilocybin mushroom strain has been catching the eye of mycology and psychedelics enthusiasts. It has no gills, looks like other varieties of magic mushrooms, and will turn blue if you touch it. Spore syringes needed to grow Snowball's cubenus are exclusively available through Inoculate the World. The strain was discovered by mycologist Pope Joseph when he introduced a mutation while cultivating a batch of penis envy fungus psychedelic fungi.
Interesting. He then spent over 2.5 years isolating the novel strain so that he could share it with the world. This was an extensive process with thousands of petri dishes. ITW Snowball has been tested for thousands of variables, waiting to be released until true stability was achieved. And we are thrilled to say we got what we were looking for, the Seattle-based mushroom spores business said.
Each psychoactive snowball or puffball can grow to the size of a softball. Snowball is like no other strain of cubenus we've seen before, making it the perfect addition for any researcher seeking something new and exciting, ITW has proclaimed.
Golden Teacher, Blue Meanie, and Stargazer are some of the other strains that the Washington Company sells spores for. ITW's website also features a blog covering multiple mycology topics. Aside from creating a successful psilocybin spore distributor, Andrew Collins, who is the founder, is currently managing 5DG Therapeutics.
And this biotech company is based out of McKnight Brain Institute at the University of Florida. It specializes in investigating psychedelic treatments for brain health disorders, particularly focusing on psilocybin. Wow. 5DG also has a partnership with Casa Solivo della Sofferenza, a private scientific research hospital in Italy. Yeah, really, eh? Right in the university.
Wow, interesting. Collins says that 5DG's chief science officer, Dr. Brent Reynolds, has invented a patent pending system that can bypass peripheral metabolism and the blood-brain barrier to deliver medicines directly to the central nervous system. Reynolds is renowned for his stem cell research and multiple contributions to peer-reviewed science journals, and he has been a professor at the University of Florida for 17 years. That's really
Yeah.
little snowballs there.
Snowballs. And, obviously been developing it for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. It's always new when neat when you come up with something new like that. And being right in that university where they do brain study.
Yeah.
So, alrighty, next story.
Coming to us from Strachan. Calgary City Councillor wants to allow cannabis sales at events in the city.
Yes. A city councillor in Calgary is trying to bring the city's rules about cannabis sales at events in line with provincial rules put in place in 2024. As reported by the Calgary Herald, Councillor Courtney Penner says she will present a notice of motion at the city's executive committee meeting on Tuesday, February 11th, which is tomorrow. The motion will ask city administration to propose bylaw and business license amendments to allow for cannabis to be sold at adult-only events.
Alberta Gaming, Liquor and Cannabis made regulatory changes in January of 2024 to allow licensed cannabis retailers in the province to apply to the AGLC for license extension for the purposes of selling cannabis through a temporary store license at minors prohibited entertainment events or cannabis industry trade shows. AGLC rules, however, also require municipal approval for the location of the temporary cannabis store and documentation from the event entity organization providing the cannabis licensee care and control of the location.
Yes. If passed, the proposed changes in Calgary would pave the way for those kinds of licenses in the future. Exactly. Penner tells the Calgary Herald that she wants to help level the playing field between alcohol and cannabis, since such sales are already allowed for alcohol sales at events. Here.
Yeah, if we look at alcohol sales, you can sell alcohol on site and consume on site, she said. That rule doesn't exist for cannabis. For cannabis, you can't bring your own, but you're allowed to purchase from a designated retailer who then has to walk through the site and bring it to you. I think the irony of me bringing this forward is that these are not events I attend, nor do I use cannabis, she added. But this is really about enabling businesses and creating opportunities for businesses that are legally permissible. Look at her. She doesn't even use cannabis and she's pushing for it.
Exactly. Just the person we want to push this forward.
Yeah.
A Calgary cannabis retailer hosted a cannabis consumption space at the Badlands Music Festival in 2024, which included the ability to buy cannabis. Festival goers could place an order for cannabis on the retailer's website, which was then delivered to the cannabis garden at the festival. I think they should go one step further and just allow them to set up shop on the grounds.
If you're going to have the cannabis consumption spot, why not just have the little store right in there?
Exactly.
Just like a bar.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. Have it delivered. Why have it delivered when you can have it right there?
Why put that middleman in? Just cut that out, work it like a bar, have 4 or 5 bud tenders in there, have them set up behind a counter and let them do their
Whatever
thing.
is required for security-wise for alcohol can be done for cannabis as well.
Absolutely.
You
don't need to sell big quantities in there. Sell your pre-rolls, sell some drinks, maybe some edibles, and single or 3.5s. That's
right. Yeah,
that's all you need with some papers and stuff. Super simple.
Yeah. And here in Ontario, we just started into an election. Cannabis hasn't been brought up yet, and when we were reading the story, I thought, geez, this would be a great opportunity for the cannabis community to jump onto the politicians here in Ontario and get some changes done, like these changes that are going on here in Calgary and Alberta, where you can take or have cannabis at events. But I
Yep.
haven't heard a whisper, so
Yeah, I mean, we
maybe
are
we get some stuff stirring up here.
we're way steps behind you here in Nova Scotia. Our cannabis is still in a little closet in the back of our liquor stores, so we got to get our own buildings, and then go on for the next fight.
Exactly. All right, let's get on to the next story because this one seems.
Yes, coming to us from the CBC, how $10,000 worth of cannabis was delivered to the wrong Toronto store, and then it just disappeared.
Just disappears. Wow. Receiving cannabis shipments has become a routine practice for Taylor Caldwell. She gets a call with the approximate time of delivery. It arrives. She signs the paperwork and then adds it to the store's inventory. But Caldwell, general manager at Kindling Cannabis Leaside, said the delivery on December the 28th was anything but routine. She got a call that the order would be there by noon, but she says it never arrived at the shop near Eglinton and Laird Drive.
Nobody showed up. We didn't hear anything back. When I did finally get a hold of the same delivery driver who called us, he said again that it would be there in about an hour, Caldwell told CBC Toronto. When it didn't arrive, Caldwell said she tried the driver multiple times again, but the call started going to voicemail. To her surprise, when Caldwell contacted the OCS on the next business day, the province's sole provider of cannabis for licensed stores, she was told the shipment had in fact been delivered, and a representative from OCS sent her the paperwork.
She says, the initials didn't even match any of my staff. I suggested to them that there is a store 2 doors down, and it's possible that it was delivered to the wrong location. Now, Caldwell says the OCS representative confirmed to her the shipment was signed for by the neighboring store and that someone from that business had left it in her back alley. She then proceeded to check her security camera footage for the rear of the store.
Around midnight, 1 hour after the store closed, an individual is seen dropping off around a dozen boxes in the alley behind her store, according to the footage, which was viewed by CBC Toronto. Not long after the boxes are dropped off, someone else appears. It was about 2 minutes later, almost exactly, that somebody came, opened one of the boxes, looked in to see what it was, and then immediately started stealing them, Caldwell said.
Wow. Why would that other store take them to the proper store after the proper store closed? Just a question. Caldwell said OCS has since compensated the store for the order, but she's frustrated by what she calls the lack of sufficient action by the regulatory authorities, the OCS and the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario. She says, I want to know why they haven't done anything, why there hasn't been any follow-up, with at least $10,000 worth of cannabis now on the streets. She says that the retail value of the cannabis is likely between $15,000 and $17,000.
The spokesperson from OCS told CBC Toronto that 99% of its shipments are delivered successfully and that incidents like these are rare. Toronto Police and the AGCO both confirmed that they are currently investigating. Policies were not followed, says the OCS. And according to the OCS, another licensed retailer is not permitted to sign for a product that isn't theirs. And there's a process for when a retailer may receive the wrong shipment.
Yeah, spokesperson says that the OCS policies require stores to reseal any open boxes and contact the OCS immediately so that we can retrieve the product. In this instance, the OCS policies were not followed. It's unclear why the packages were signed for or why they were left for Kindling Leaside after hours. It's also unclear who left the large boxes containing the cannabis in the alley.
The owner of the neighboring cannabis store, the Happy Spliff, did not respond to emails and was not available when CBC visited the shop last Friday. Gee, I'm not shocked. The OCS maintains that of its 1,300 wholesale orders on average a week, nearly all are delivered without issue.
On occasion, human error does occur, according to a spokesperson. But what further frustrated Caldwell, she says, was that the incident left her shop without sufficient stock ahead of New Year's Eve, a time of typically high demand.
Yeah, we placed our emergency order on Monday, but weren't able to get it out to us until Thursday. So still without our product for New Year's Eve, said Caldwell. Caldwell said she'd like to see better enforcement by the AGCO in instances where policies aren't followed, and she's not alone.
Now, Matt Maurer, he's a partner and chair of the cannabis law firm Torque in Maine, says that there definitely doesn't seem to be a uniform enforcement or consistency in the enforcement. He says that can be frustrating for licensed retailers who must follow a series of comprehensive rules and regulations to operate.
Yeah. Well, there is proactive enforcement by the AGCO. Moyer said much of the enforcement is complaint driven. Even then, he said, it can still be unclear who is actually handling enforcement, be it the AGCO, Health Canada, or police. The system is set up in terms of the bureaucracy. It's hard for a lot of those complaints to get to the AGCO. And then there's, a whole bureaucracy of how it's dealt with, he said.
Yeah. In a statement, a spokesperson for the AGCOs said it maintains a robust inspection and enforcement program, and of the 4,100 inspections in the cannabis sector last year, almost 2,500 were proactive. The theft from Kindling Leaside is currently under investigation, the spokesperson said, noting that the case has been assigned to a specialized unit responsible for leading serious and complex regulatory cases.
Given that this matter is complex and remains the subject of an ongoing police investigation, we will take the appropriate action in accordance with the law and our regulations once investigations are complete and we are able to review the evidence, they said. That means Caldwell will have to wait longer for answers as to how the shipment of thousands of dollars worth of cannabis went so terribly wrong, or where it even ended up. We have no idea who's accessing that cannabis. And
exactly.
Yeah. So the driver got the wrong address. The person who signed for it should have known better. I mean, like, you read the different, once they did realize it, what they should have done was call the OCS to get them to come back and get it. Somebody decided that an hour after everybody was closed to leave it in the back alley. Was that done on purpose? That's where my brain goes.
Yeah, I know, eh? That's why
2 minutes later, somebody else is there picking it up.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I question, why deliver it after hours? They're 2 doors down the road. Like,
you had it for hours.
Hours.
And you waited. Yeah, it's all suspicious to me.
Yeah, but no response, remember, right? So, all righty. To our last story before we go to break.
Yeah, coming to us from cannabis.net. Cannabis oil helps skin wounds and cuts heal faster, according to a new skin research report.
Yes. Now, according, they say cannabis is in its many forms, from edibles to inhaled cannabis, tinctures to oils, and so much more, have been proven to be beneficial for its countless therapeutic benefits. Typically, cannabis is ingested in the human body. It's smoked, eaten, drank, or applied underneath the tongue. Those methods allow cannabis to be metabolized by various systems in the body, thus enabling the cannabinoids to do their healing work from the inside out. But the use of cannabis topicals is also a fast-growing segment.
Cannabis topicals and transdermals, such as patches, oils, balms, and salves infused with cannabinoids, have been shown to have healing properties for skin applications as well. CBD in particular possesses incredible anti-inflammatory properties that aid in the healing of wounds, ulcers, localized pain, bacterial infections, and so much more. The result of a recent scientific review were published initially by Marijuana Moment, backing up the growing body of research that cannabis oil is effective for a variety of applications. Through this one focuses on skin wounds. For the report, investigators from educational institutions in Thailand and India analyzed the effect of cannabis oil on reactive oxygen species, ROS, when wounds are healing. These chemicals promote damage in tissues and cells, causing a longer time to heal wounds.
Increased ROS levels can hinder wound healing by exacerbating inflation and cellular damage, says the paper. Now, it says CBD's anti-toxic properties mitigate these effects, fostering a more conducive environment for tissue regeneration. The authors also found that the cannabis oil was helpful in reducing the oxidative damage caused by ROS, thereby improving antitoxin mechanisms in the wound, which has the potential to speed up wound healing.
Ooh, wow, that's a lot of words for CBD helps.
Sure is.
Cannabis oil, especially its primary bioactive constituents, which is the CBD and the THC, demonstrates considerable potential in facilitating skin wound healing by modifying oxidative stress via the regulation of reactive oxygen species. In summary, the excellent antioxidant properties of CBD work well to mitigate the negative effects of ROS, promoting tissue regeneration. The authors also acknowledge the analgesic and antibacterial properties of cannabis, which contributes to a reduction in the microbial load.
Let's see. Okay, now they say CBD topicals work better than conventional meds for skin ulcers. They say in a 2023 study out of Italy, researchers found that CBD topicals was more effective in addressing wound pain and speeding up wound healing among patients with skin ulcers caused by scleroderma. The randomized trial data, which was published in Advances in Skin and Wound Care, specifically focuses on those type of ulcers, a rare autoimmune condition characterized by skin tightening and narrowing of blood vessels.
Interesting. For the study, Italian researchers analyzed the effects of topical CBD oils compared to conventional treatments. A group of 25 patients with digital ulcers in the fingertips were studied. They were randomly chosen and assigned to use CBD for 1 month, while 20 other patients were prescribed to take conventional therapeutic medications. They found that the participants who were given the CBD observed more significant pain relief and more efficient wound healing compared to those in the control group.
Although mean wound-related pain, NRS, which is numerical rating scale, scores did not differ between CBD-treated patients and control patients at baseline. Their mean scores differ significantly after 1 month, wrote the researchers. More particularly, the patients who took CBD saw a pain score decrease of 29% over the course of the study, while those who were given conventional meds only saw a 6% decrease. Now, as far as topicals' effect on skin cancer, they say in a case report of a 64-year-old woman who had medical history of squamous cell carcinoma, topical applications of 20% CBD ointment was found to be effective in treating the cancerous lesion.
The investigators involved from the University of California at Riverside and UC Davis wrote a summary of their findings after analyzing the woman, writing she self-initiated treatment with topical cannabinoid oil twice daily, and the lesion completely resolved within 4 weeks. Several prior biopsy confirmed squamous cell carcinoma on her dorsal hands also completely regressed after similar treatment with topical cannabinoid oil, they wrote. Both malignant cancer and chronic dermatitis completely resolved within 4 weeks of twice daily treatment. We attribute the clearance of her skin tumor to the CBD, they wrote. However, they suggest more investigation into the benefits of cannabinoid oil for SCC and other non-melanoma skin cancer types.
Whether for skin wounds, ulcers, skin cancer, pain, topical delivery of cannabinoids is an excellent way to benefit from its anti-inflammatory and antitoxic properties. After all, the skin is well known for its abundance of cannabinoid receptors, both CBD1 and 2. These are particularly found in skin cells, including the sebaceous glands. Oh, there's some more words. I just can't, no way I'm going to get them out. And even various sensory neurons. Because of the direct receptor expression in the skin, this makes similar for cannabinoids to act directly on skin issues. It must be said that topical or transdermal application of cannabinoid products also bypasses the gastrointestinal mechanism, a process known as prevention of first-pass metabolism. This results in a more stable level of cannabinoid and long-lasting benefits without the patient having to experience psychoactive properties that are linked to smoking, consuming edibles, drinking, or any other oral routes of administration. And this is why, even if you supply THC topicals to skin, you don't get high.
That's right. Cannabis topicals possess a wide range of benefits for patients of skin diseases. Because of cannabinoids' anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and antibacterial properties, it's become easier to understand how it can contribute to such powerful wound healing and pain relief, oftentimes even more effective than conventional medicines. Really?
There you go. Yeah, it's topicals. That,
Yeah.
There is obviously benefits of them.
Yep.
Getting high is not what you're not going to get that from them. And so, that's something that people could use that don't want to get high in order to treat their pain. Like, I mentioned at the beginning of the show about my knee, right? Well, I've got some CBD to roll on that I got from a company called You Feel You.
Nice. Yeah.
Putting on there, so.
Yeah, I've been using CBD and THC topicals for years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but it's funny that they're sold in recreational stores, and I don't know where the recreational. Well, I know where one spot, but overall,
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. All right, it's commercial time. Time to hear from our sponsors, and for us to take a break. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Education on News here at paceradio.net and the 420pace.ca.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Legacy 420 have an awesome array of cannabis-infused beverages, from pop to Nature's Nectar's teas, all in amazing flavors. What a selection! We even have a delicious mango-infused juice, and let me tell you, it's delicious.
Everything is infused in-house, so we buy our syrup from, the same place where everybody else buys their syrup for their pop, and the infusion is done in the lab. It's all canned here, labeled here, produced 100% on Tyndonega.
We have 2 lines of drinks. One is called our Nature's Nectar. That was our original line that we came out with. And then we also have a line under the Red E brand. We have them in 10 milligrams, 30 milligram, and 60 milligram cans.
What a great selection for a get-together with friends or after a long day. Remember, if you want to wet your whistle with on-site lab-tested products, come see your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hey, we're back. And it's time for us to bring you some more news. We got 4 stories left, Cindy?
4 more. Yeah.
4 more. And, just like we started out the show, we started out on the psychedelic ends of things. We are going to start off the second half on the same boat. Here we go.
Coming to us from KOB4, Medical Psilocybin Act would create legal access to the treatment.
All right. Good stuff. Now, this year, the Medical Psilocybin Act was introduced. It's meant to create legal access to the medicine. In 2023, there was a similar bill to study the medicine's use for mental health, but it didn't pass. And last year, the Senate requested a study of psilocybin for therapeutic purposes that did pass.
Nice. We have over 37% of folks in this state and overall suffering with depression and anxiety, said Deborah Thorne, who is the CEO and co-founder of Soul Trip in La Cruz. It is a good designed to share knowledge about the uses of psilocybin, the compound in psychedelic mushrooms.
Now, Saturday, she spoke with the community about Senate Bill 219. The bipartisan bill has several sponsors, including Senator Jeff Steinberg. It focuses on creating a program to treat things like PTSD and substance abuse with psilocybin. And Thorne said it would be different from the medical cannabis system.
It's 1 or 2 dosing sessions, but there's a lot of preparation involved to get to that point. And then there's integration afterwards. And that's really key, she said. The medicine would be given in a controlled environment with trained staff. Everyone involved, patients, growers, clinicians, and therapists, would have to be accepted into the program.
But, and there's always a but, there's some pushback on the bill. In the fiscal impact report, the Legislative Finance Committee cites concerns about how the funding is set up. The bill asks for $4 million to get the program up and running. Now, Thorne says that we are looking at donations, gifts, and a certain amount of money set aside in the state that could be utilized for the first 2 years. And I think as the advisory committee is formed, there will be an establishment of how do we keep this flowing.
Mm-hmm. There's also concerns about access to treatment. The Department of Health said that there could be issues for patients who use federal programs like the VA. Thorne said she's excited to see where the bill goes. We've got 2 years. If the bill goes through, 2 years to plan, and it'll just evolve over time, Thorne said.
Yeah, the bill was introduced last week. It needs to pass through 3 committees, and they expect it to be presented to the Senate Tax, Business, and Transportation Committee on Tuesday. So that's tomorrow. It will also have to clear the Senate Judiciary and Finance Committees as well.
Wow.
So there you go.
Well, New Mexico, I wish you all the best of luck. That's exciting.
Yeah. Anytime you get access to natural medicines, it is. Okay, this next story, as we know in the news a lot, there's a lot of talk about tariffs and stuff going on. We can't avoid that. It's in the news all the time. So how would that affect the cannabis industry, some people may ask. So here we go.
Here we go. Coming to us from Cannabis and Tech today, how Trump's tariffs are shaking up the cannabis industry.
Yeah, the cannabis industry is no stranger to regulatory hurdles, but now it faces a new economic roadblock, tariffs. In a move aimed at tackling illegal immigration and drug trafficking, President Trump has imposed a 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico and 10% tariff on goods from China as of February the 1st. While these measures are intended to address national security and the opioid crisis, the collateral damage is poised to hit American cannabis businesses hard. Many of the industry's essential components, and people might not even have thought of this, vaporizer hardware, packaging, cultivation equipment are sourced from overseas, particularly China. The price is on the rise. Cannabis companies are scrambling for solutions. The question now is who will absorb the costs, businesses or consumers? And could this fuel a resurgence of the illicit market?
Yeah, it may be.
Maybe.
Vaporizer hardware is one of the largest product categories affected by the new tariffs. The majority of vape cartridges, batteries, and disposable devices are manufactured in China, a country now facing a 10% tariff increase on exports to the U.S. Many cannabis brands were already battling rising costs due to inflation and previous supply chain disruptions. With tariffs in play, companies must either absorb the increased costs, pass them to consumers, or seek alternative manufacturings in countries like Malaysia or India, an option that could take years to fully implement.
Higher retail prices for vape products could push some consumers towards cheaper, unregulated black market options, raising concerns about product safety. A chilling reminder of the 2019 crisis linked to illicit vape cartridges. Yeah, I remember that. And now they say as far as packaging, they say cannabis packaging is another industry segment taking a hit. Many companies source their child-resistant containers, pre-rolled tubes, and custom branding materials from Chinese manufacturers.
Yeah, shifting production to the U.S. or to other countries isn't as simple as it sounds. Domestic options are often more expensive, have limited production capability or capacity, or lack the specialized designs required for compliance. One possible upside, the tariff hike may accelerate a shift towards sustainable, locally sourced packaging solutions. Companies that innovate in this space could gain a competitive edge while reducing reliance on volatile international trade conditions. Green Market Report has detailed how these shifts are affecting businesses.
Now, as far as cultivation costs, they say the indoor and greenhouse cultivators rely on sophisticated lighting systems, irrigation technology, and climate control equipment, much of which comes from China. Tariffs will increase operational costs, forcing businesses to rethink expansion plans or invest in higher-priced domestic alternatives. A 2024 analysis from MJ Biz Daily warned that additional tariffs on key cultivation equipment could impact profit margins, particularly for small and mid-sized growers who already face stiff competition from larger multi-state operators.
Yeah, bigger economic picture. Beyond the cannabis industry, economists predict that Trump's latest tariffs could have a $1.1 trillion impact on the U.S. economy between 2025 and 2034. A recent report from the Tax Foundation estimated that these trade policies could reduce U.S. economic output by 0.4% and increase the financial burden on households by an average of $800 per year.
Wow, $800 a year for a household, just in the cannabis end alone.
Yeah.
For cannabis entrepreneurs, this means an even tighter economic landscape. Small businesses already navigating high taxes and limited banking access will feel the squeeze the hardest. So what's next? To survive the shifting economic landscape, cannabis companies will need to get creative. Some strategies being explored include diversifying suppliers, investing in automation, and developing sustainable alternatives such as recyclable U.S.-made packaging.
With Trump back in office, expect continued trade conflicts that could further complicate cannabis business operations. The tariffs show no sign of being lifted until Trump's administration deems the immigration and drug crisis resolved. For now, one thing is clear. The cannabis industry must adapt quickly or risk being caught in the crossfire of a global trade war.
There you go. I bet no one ever thought about that, the effects of what it's going to cost on the cannabis issue, and all the different ways that it's, that it will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, everything's about to be affected, and cannabis and psychedelics are not off that list, right?
Yep, they're not immune. That's right. No, exactly. All righty. Next story.
Yeah. Coming to us from tbdnewswatch.com. Participants sought for study of impact of cannabis on oral health.
Who would have ever thought? What do you think before we get into the story?
I never thought of it, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
No, I have used cannabis oil on, healing where I've had, surgeries in my mouth and whatnot, but I guess that's oral health, right?
Yeah. There we go. We'll find out what it's all about. Just like tobacco, cannabis can cause a variety of oral health issues, including cancer. A research team from the University of Toronto is now looking for volunteers in Thunder Bay and northwestern Ontario to help measure the long-term impacts of cannabis, especially on Indigenous populations.
Oh, I have so much I could say. Emerging evidence suggests a link between cannabis smoking and oral health issues, including oral cancers, says Dr. Frank Morrow, who is a member of the team at the Confederation College Dental Clinic, who is collaborating in the study. The project is focusing on Indigenous youth and adults because periodic oral health surveys have reported these groups experience worse oral health outcomes than the general population.
Over the next 3 years, the University of Toronto researchers, led by Professor Harina Lawrence of the Facility of Dentistry, will be working with self-identified cannabis users and non-users from both Indigenous and non-Indigenous communities. Participants between the ages of 19 and 55, with most or all of their teeth, will undergo non-invasive tests conducted by trained oral health practitioners.
Saliva and urine samples will be taken to measure cannabis exposure, and sensory tests will assess facial pain sensitivity. The researchers will regularly monitor the participants for any changes, including for inflammation in the mouth, the development of precancerous lesions, and changes in oral and facial sensory function.
The study is funded by a $1.5 million grant through the Canadian Institutes of Health Research. Lawrence says cannabis consumption has been associated with higher risks of gum disease, oral infection, and cancer of the oral cavity. I just haven't heard of anybody getting mouth cancer from.
No, I know people that have cured their mouth cancer with cannabis. Because these effects often are compounded by tobacco use and the use of other drugs, research is needed to address the specific effects of cannabis on oral health, she added. The study will utilize an Indigenous learning circle model to ensure Indigenous perspectives shape the research from start to finish, and that they inform any resulting health policies.
Besides Confederation College, Lawrence said her team will be working in partnership with several Indigenous communities and public health authorities across Ontario, as well as Manitoba, and participants will be compensated with $250 per year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think this is going to be one of those studies that they get the opposite of what they're looking for. They're looking to see that this causes cancer, and I don't think they're going to find that. I do understand where it's coming from. I mean, tobacco, not Virginian tobacco as we know it, but tobacco is a big part of the Indigenous culture here in North America, right across America, whether it's in North or South or Central. And we know that nicotine can cause these things, especially when used in excess. And for years, we have, it has been tradition to mix tobacco with cannabis, especially, here in the Maritimes, it was a big thing. And, I know a lot of Indigenous people that still do. Do you know what I mean? So I get where that might be coming from, but I think they're going to find that the cannabis doesn't do what they think it might do.
They didn't really mention it, but But I hope that they're looking for non-tobacco smokers to do this study.
Yeah, I think they did allude to that they were looking for cannabis only to study just the cannabis part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
so
they did put it in there with some tobacco at one point in one of the lines or two. And so let's hope they go to strictly cannabis smokers to see what's going on.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Last story of the day. It's up.
Yes, coming to us from UPI. Cannabis addiction increases risk for premature death. Canada study finds.
I read this headline and I thought, what? Let's bring this story into the news and let's see what all it says and go from there. So
yeah.
They say people who need emergency care or hospitalization for cannabis use disorder are at an elevated risk of premature death within 5 years. A new Canadian study suggests. The study was published Thursday in JAMA Network Open. What was that?
I'm just laughing because this is coming to us from New York about a Canadian story. It just caught me as funny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Significant increases in regular cannabis use and products strength underscore the importance of recognizing cannabis use disorder as a public health concern. This issue is particularly worrisome in young segments of the population and amid growing interest in legalizing cannabis and marketing it commercially, the researchers noted. Cannabis use and the number of people with a cannabis use disorder is rapidly increasing globally. And more people now use cannabis daily than consume alcohol daily. Good in Canada and in the United States, the study's lead author told UPI, and that is Daniel Myron.
Now, despite these trends, we know very little about whether or not having a cannabis use disorder increased the risks of death, says Myron, the Canadian Research Chair of Social Accountability at the University of Ottawa in Ontario. Now, Myron and his colleagues studied 11.6 million people for a median period of 5 years. They ranged in age from 15 to 105 years and lived in Ontario between 2006 and 2021.
Researchers found that those who received hospital-based care for the disorder were at 6 times the risk of death within 5 years compared to someone the same age in the general population. After the researchers accounted for comorbid health conditions, these people remained at almost 3 times the risk of death by suicide, trauma, drug poisoning, and lung cancer.
The researchers also compared the risks of death in people with a cannabis use disorder to those with alcohol use disorder and while they found that those with alcohol use disorder had a greater risk, it wasn't much higher. Wow. Large segments of the public do not perceive cannabis to have major health risks, says Marin, who is also assistant professor at the Department of Family Medicine at the University of Ottawa and a scientist at the Brewery Health Research Institute, ICES, and the Ottawa Hospital.
Changing this mindset would require comprehensive efforts to prevent the development of cannabis use disorders, along with more treatment and support options for people with the addiction. The findings highlight that lawmakers and policymakers need to be very cautious about how cannabis policy is implemented to ensure that it does not result in a large increase in use, Myron said.
This study wasn't designed to determine if cannabis use disorder itself causes death. Okay, good. Continuing research is necessary to tease out the degree that the findings are a function of cannabis use or from other lifestyle and medical factors like a higher rate of tobacco use, he says. Yeah. Nevertheless, Myron noted that the findings identify a very high-risk group of people who most likely would benefit from further medical care and intervention.
Other experts commended the researchers for raising awareness of cannabis habit-forming nature and the heightened risk of death. There is a growing public health threat with cannabis use, said Dr. Laura Jean Byroot, who is the lead author of an editorial accompanying the study and an alumni endowed professor at the Department of Psychiatry at Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis. Cannabis use is addictive, similarly as alcohol. She said, sorry, some of this is just, this is my first time reading it, and it's kind of catching me as shocking. Some can use it with no difficulty, and others will develop addiction. Don't let anyone tell you that cannabis is not addictive.
Now, research that I have read have shown that 9% of the people who use cannabis do get addicted to it, according to the research that I saw that came out of the U.S.
And before I, we went on to the show, I did tell you that I have now met 2 people that, honestly needed to get help to get off of their addiction of cannabis. But I don't think it is similarly as alcohol.
No, I know. We're the bodies. I know. As cannabis use surges, an increased risk of death is linked to this disorder, particularly in younger populations. She says it is important that we recognize the science and begin to act on this public health issue. There you go. Into that.
Well, it goes on.
Yeah. What's that?
I said there's still 4 more paragraphs.
Oh, is there? Oh, there is. Okay, yeah, I'll just bring that back up then. I just saw that big green dot and thought that the story was over.
Well, that's okay. Cannabis's legalization has led to some misconceptions about its safety, says Dr. Lee Vinacore, who is a spokesperson for the American College of Emergency Physicians. However, this study is about problematic addictive cannabis use, those most severely affected, he said. So there's a public health message, but you can't generalize this to everybody who's using cannabis.
Correct. After practicing emergency medicine for more than 30 years, she earned a master's degree in medical cannabis science and therapeutics at the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy and opened an integrative health practice in Baltimore County. Vinokur says that I've seen the benefits of medical cannabis when used properly with the guidance of a physician for certain medical conditions such as chronic pain. And she says that there is no medication or substance that's completely safe, and especially when used improperly. Yep, there are people that shouldn't consume cannabis.
Yep. No, and I agree.
Not for everybody. Cheeseburgers aren't for everybody either, but we don't make them illegal.
Exactly, right? And it's just, cannabis, I think, for the majority of people is a fine medicine to use, whether they use it specifically only for medical purposes, or if they throw some recreational stuff in there too. There are people, like I said, I've met 2. You've read that there's 9% of people that can become addicted in some way. Gambling is addicting, so why couldn't there are psychologically addicting things that are bad for you? Video
games, they say.
Why couldn't cannabis be one of them if somebody was relying on it too much? And it
habit forming, getting up, so on and so forth. There are some things that are routine, and then there's people like ourselves who are patients that use their cannabis daily because that's their medicine.
Yep, absolutely.
So, all right. Anything else before we say goodbye?
I'm sure that I could come up with a million things, but I'll just leave it at thanks so much for joining us. And please don't forget to go get your nominations in for the Can Expo.
That's right. Yes. The Can Expo Influencer Award. You saw the little promo running there during the break. If you go to canexpo.ca, you'll see where the award spot is, and you get your nominees in. I think they have to be in by the end of the month, I believe.
Nice. Yeah. Exciting.
Yep. It's big time. All right. From the Legacy420.com news desk, that's the news for today. We hope you found it educational and informative. Thanks to Legacy420.com, Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, At-Eze.ca, and our friends over at Limestone City Hydroponics.ca. And don't forget, you can catch the next broadcast this coming Thursday. Cindy and I will be back 10 o'clock. And as I always say, I've been saying this for years. 17 years now, I think. Somewhere around there. Don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20 is so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partners 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420 enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.